Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. So last week I took you on a journey with me to go and collect rocks from the Mad River. Today we are going to be painting on one of those rocks, and I was also requested to paint a dragonfly. So that's what we're going to do today. So when I'm doing Mad River rocks, I draw out with pencil my design, and then I paint over it with white paint if I'm going to do something like this. So this is a dragonfly, and I'm going to make him look like he's sitting on the rock. If I was going to be doing a scenery picture, I have shown you in a few other videos where I paint it all black, and then I put masking tape or painter's tape around the edge so I don't go over the edge, and it gives it a nice frame. So today what we're doing is we're going to have this dragonfly sitting on top of the rock, and because of the colors that I'm going to be using, I am painting the whole thing white so that the colors that I use will really show. And then I do some sparkle paint on top of it. And ironically enough, it is dragonfly paint that I'll be using. So I thought it was very fitting. And yeah, I just thought this was a great way to segue from collecting the rocks to the finished product. So it's kind of like a full circle. So all the paint colors that I use are listed in the description below with a whole bunch of other really cool information. But basically what I'm doing with the wings is I use a dark blue, and I believe that was called Ocean Blue from DecoArt. And then in the middle, I use Ocean Blue from DecoArt. And then on the bottom, I use Purple Pizzazz from DecoArt. So this is a DecoArt stone, I guess. I do use a couple of other colors, and like I said, they are all listed in the description below. So what I did was I painted a line of paint, and I put it on rather thick so that when I blended it with my blending brush, it really bled into each other, or blended into each other. And then where I wanted it to be a little bit lighter, I added a little bit of white just to give it that sort of glow. And that's what I end up with. So I do the same thing on all four wings. So a dragonfly has four wings, and they're usually transparent. So this one is kind of we'll call it a make-believe, or a creative spin on it. I know that in my video when I was collecting rocks, I had seen a red dragonfly, and that's the first time I've ever seen a red one. I've always seen like blue ones or green ones. So that one was interesting. But I thought I would do what I normally see, which is the blue and the green ones. So I'm putting the wings as more blue, and the purple at the bottom is just to give it that little extra color, I guess, just at the bottom of the wing. And it's not very much. The majority of the wing is blue. So I try to keep it as symmetrical as possible, but I'm not perfect. And that's what makes it art, is not being perfect. So just remember that when you're doing your painting, and if things aren't going as planned, or one side isn't as perfect as the other side, for lack of a better word, that's okay, because it's art, and this is your, I guess, your rendition of what you're painting. So just remember that there's no mistakes in painting, and with acrylic paint, you can just let it dry and then paint right over top of it again. and it still looks beautiful. So just remember that. That's a little tip for you. So as I am going along and I am blending in these wings on both sides, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the preparation of the Mad River rock. So as you saw in my video last week, I picked them out of the water. I picked them off the shore. I get them just about anywhere. And when I get them home, I've got to clean them because they've been sitting in the riverbed for quite some time and they have all sorts of different, I guess, like algae and the smell of the river and all of that kind of not good stuff. And some of them even have like clay caked to them. So I've got to get that all off. So what I do to prepare my rocks is I give them a bath. So I usually use warm soapy water and I let them soak. And that helps bring a lot of the clay and the dirt, and it brings it to the surface of the rock, so it's easier to clean. I use a wire brush initially to scrape off anything that is stuck on there and get into like the little crevices of the rock, and it really brings the character of the rock to life. After that, I let them dry, and then I use like a scraper to get any of the tougher stuff off. And sometimes that's messy, and I will do it outside if weather is permitting. But I scrape everything on the rock. It gives it a much smoother surface for me to work on, as well as it allows me to get the little chunks of clay and dirt and whatever else may have been on the rock to get it off the rock. And then I have a beautiful painting service. So that's how I prepare the rocks after I have collected them. And I'll tell you, I collected a lot of rocks and I have so many ideas that are like swimming through my head to paint on these rocks since I've collected them. So I hope you're going to stick around and watch me paint certain things on these wonderful canvases made by Mother Nature. As I've been chatting away, you would have been watching me paint the body of the Dragonfly, and I went with green. So this is Holiday Green by Craftsmart. Again, I'll mention it that all of the brand names and the color names will be listed in the description below. But yes, I'm using Holiday Green, and all I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of white to mix in to change the color slightly. So it has a light source, and that is helpful for later when we actually go in and we do the shadows. And it looks really cool once it's all done. So stick around to the end of the video to see the final results of the pictures that I put at the end. So now I'm just outlining it just to define some of the characteristics of the dragonfly itself. And I'm doing the body, and I'm not connecting we're going to call them I don't know, bumps or like the tail of the dragonfly. It always has these like little round that I don't know what you call them. It's hard to describe for me, I guess. They're just like little bumps or little balls that have been put together on the body, but they don't, like, they're connected. So I don't want to put the black paint as I'm outlining to connect them, because then it looks like that's all they are, just little round balls that are stuck together. So I just do on the top, and I just bring it in slightly as the indent, and then I do it on the bottom as well. So it just gives that illusion that everything is attached, and that's what we want to show. I did separate the head because I do go in and I touch that up. I've got to put legs on and his eyes and his mouth. So I do separate the head from the body, and then the body is connected as well so that it separates the tail. That's the only time that I actually connect the outline for the body. Now I'm just doing the wings. I'm just doing a very thin black line with black paint. Now with the black paint to do these outlines, what I do is I water it down ever so slightly, just so that the paint actually glides better, and it works amazing. Just adding a couple of drops of water, it really allows you to move the paint a lot smoother, and you can also control the thickness of your line a lot easier. So that's just a little tip, I guess, from me to you. And yeah, so there's his little legs. I just put on him, so he's standing on the rock. And now I'm just adding his little eyes, and I'm just painting little black ovals and filling them in. And then the mouth part is just like a bump at the front of his head, or on the front. And then I just sort of angle that back onto his head so it looks like it's part of it. And that's his head that is completed. And the wings, what I do is I outline the entire wing, and then I put a design inside, kind of like what you do for butterfly wings. But with a dragonfly wing, they're a little bit different in the way that we'll call them veins, how they move in each of their wings. But I try to keep them identical from left to right. And this is a fairly big rock. You can tell by the size of my hands in comparison to the rock. So it is a fairly big rock. I would say it's about 6 to 8 inches wide, which works perfect for the size of the dragonfly that I decided to do. So you didn't see me draw it on, and that's because I forgot to press the record button when I was doing it. And but it was fairly easy. I just used regular pencil. I don't use my charcoal pencils on natural rocks unless I have painted it black as the background so that I can see where I want my design to go. But in this case, I just used a regular pencil and drew it out, because to erase the lines that are there, then it's a lot easier to do with pencil. Now you'll see that there is some white lines on his wings. That is my general charcoal pencil. And because it's a painted area, and I find that the charcoal pencil, it doesn't indent the paint like a pencil would. So that's why I use that, as well as it's easy to erase by simply using a wet cloth, or you can use an eraser as well. But I really wanted to draw them out so that I ensured that I had symmetry between each of the wings. And it was just easier for me to follow. So I went back with my watered down black paint, and I'm just adding in all of those extra veins all throughout each of the wings. So while I'm doing that and you're watching me put in all of these details, I just want to say thanks for joining me. If you're new here, make sure that you subscribe before you leave. I try to post every Friday, and ring the notification bell, because it'll tell you every time I upload a new video, and you don't want to miss it. I've got some really good plans coming, and I really hope you're going to be around to join me. And don't forget to give me the thumbs up if you like this video, and leave me a comment. I love reading your comments, and I respond to all of them. And it's just a really easy way to let me know that you like the content that I'm bringing you. And for me to get to know my viewers. It takes like 1 minute of your time to send me a quick message, and I love hearing from you. So here's the Dragonfly glaze that I'm going to be using. Now it goes on white, but it dries clear. So I put this on as thick as I can, especially on my Dragonfly wings. I do the same for my butterfly wings. And I try very hard not to get it on the body because this is to make those wings really glitter. So if you've ever seen a dragonfly, when the sun hits the wings look wet. So they they kind of glitter in the sunlight. So that's what I'm trying to mimic here. And this dragonfly glaze is amazing, and it's color shifting. So the particular one that I'm using right now, it shifts from red violet to blue. So it goes red, violet, blue, and it shifts by the way that you move it in the sunlight, and you can see those, all three of those colors. It's really interesting. So what you saw me do right there was I was testing the color of the rock on when it's resined. So this tells me how dark I have to make my shading. So all I did was I took a paintbrush, I dipped it into water, and right above his head there, you'll see a darker spot. That's where I painted the water, and that tells me how dark it's going to be once I resin. So I need to make my shadows darker than that, so it'll show up when I'm doing my resin. So what I did was I used my watered down paint, I painted it on, and now I'm using a cotton swab to remove a lot of that excess black paint. So then it gives it that shadow look. And I'm just adding a little bit more there. And you've got to remember where your light source is coming from and as to where the shadow is going to go. So you'll remember earlier in this video when we put the white parts on the body, it was to the right side of the dragonfly. So that means all of the shadows are going to be on the left side. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now, is I'm just adding those shadows of the wings and of his tail, because his tail is raised up, and then just a little piece of the other wing on the other side that is going to be to the left. So that's just an easy rule to remember. If your light source is coming from the right, then all of your shadows are going to be on the left. Vice versa, if you have your light source coming from the opposite direction. And if your light source is coming straight above, so it's like noon in the sunlight, then you won't have any shadows because everything's going to be coming from above. So that's just a little tip as well. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting in the veins because they're supposed to be transparent for his wings. And that's it. It's finished. So I give it some resin and it's good to go. So there you have it, folks. Life is what you make it. So get creative.